You know, some stories just grab you, don't they? When Life Gives You Tangerines is absolutely one of those. This epic love story playing out on beautiful Jeju Island.
Yeah.
It's become this huge global thing, and you
Yeah.
can really see why.
Definitely taps into something really universal.
And the titles are interesting too. The Korean one, Thank You for Your Hard Work, is so direct, but the English one, referencing the tangerines, it sort of hints at the sweetness and maybe the bitterness too.
Yeah, it's a clever adaptation. It really sets the scene for this sprawling journey.
So for you, the learner, that's exactly what we want to get into today. This is our deep dive into the heart of it all. Oh Asun and Yang Guan-sik, their emotional journey across the decades on Jeju.
We'll be looking closely at those key moments, the ones that really shaped them, drawing on, detailed analyses and a pretty comprehensive timeline of their lives.
Right, we want to unpack that profound emotional depth. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The 1950s, 60s, their formative years. This is where we see the seeds planted, right?
Let's begin with Asun, born in 51. What strikes you first?
Well, it's that spirit, isn't it? Even with everything she faced. They call her a literary girl, rebellious. But her early life was tough.
Incredibly tough. Losing her mother, a Hanyeo, so young in 61 to diverse disease. That's a huge loss. Plus, a neglectful stepfather, poverty, being a girl, limiting her options.
Yeah, the circumstances were definitely difficult. But then there's the poetry.
Exactly. That passion doesn't get stamped out. It suggests this rich inner life, a refusal to just be defined by hardship.
And we see flashes of it early on, don't we? That poem about the abalone in March 60, and then the one taking a shot at Lee Mangi later that year. Even as a kid.
Right. It shows resilience, for
Yeah.
sure, and maybe a bit of, a sharp eye for injustice even then. That spirit, that voice, it's there from the start.
So that's Asun. Now, Guansik, born a year earlier in 1950, how does he fit into this early picture?
He's almost the opposite, isn't he? Quiet, steadfast, but his connection to her is immediate. He's the admirer, the protector, but in a gentle way.
Yeah, and there's that little detail, October 58, Asun's grandmother helping pull out both their baby teeth. It's small, but it paints such a picture of this early sort of faded closeness.
It really does. It speaks volumes about how deep their roots go. While she's dealing with all this external stuff and writing poems, he's just there, loyal. It sets up his whole role later on.
Okay, so fast forward a bit, mid to late 60s,
Yeah.
adolescence. That connection starts to, well, bloom into something more, right?
Young love. That first kiss, March 67 in the canola field. Classic.
So iconic. And then Isun writing My First Love, MFL, for that contest, same month. Clearly about him.
Yeah, it's all very sweet, but it's happening against a backdrop that's still quite harsh. You mentioned her forced labor.
Right, the reality wasn't romantic.
No. And Guansik memorizing her favorite poem, Nostalgia, in December 67. It's more than just romantic, isn't it? It's about connection, support, trying to offer something solid when things are tough.
Yeah, that devotion really shines through even then, which leads us to a really massive moment, the elopement in February 68.
A huge turning point. It feels like this, desperate grab for agency, doesn't it? Guansik selling family gold for a ring. That's a big deal, a huge risk.
Definitely impulsive, driven by love. But then reality hits hard in Busan with the robbery.
Yeah, the fairy tale escape. Not happening. It's a real wake-up call. What do you think that taught them?
Well, it seems like it forced them to grow up fast, maybe? That youthful idealism crashing into reality. But even after that failure, March 68, wow.
That scene. Asun is basically set up with Busengil older, maybe more stable on paper.
But she chooses Guansik, runs to the shore as he's swimming back from the ship he was meant to leave on. It's just definitive.
It really is. I think it shows she values that deep connection, that shared history, maybe more than just practical security. She's choosing him, choosing their path, however hard it might be.
Taking control, yeah. And then, almost immediately, things shift again. November 68, their daughter, Yang Gumayang, is born.
And that changes everything, doesn't it? New responsibilities, new priorities.
We see it straight away, that conversation in June 69, talking about sacrificing their own dreams for her. It's quite sobering that early on.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? That theme of sacrifice for family, it's right there from the start. It defines so much of what comes next for them.
Okay, so moving into the 1970s, early marriage, young family, and it sounds like it wasn't easy.
No, definitely marked by financial struggles.
Yeah.
Guansik losing his job, that would have put immense pressure on them.
That moment in July 73, when Asun's grandmother steps in with money, feels crucial.
Like a lifeline, absolutely. It lets them buy their first boat, In August 73, which is also when their second son, Lin Mayong, is born, it really shows how vital that family support network was.
Yeah, and the boat itself, that's a step towards stability, right? Investing in their future.
Definitely. And then buying back Asen's childhood home in August 74, after their third son, Dong Mayong, was born in June, it feels like things are maybe looking up. A sense of progress.
Exactly, building a life, growing their family, which makes what happens next just utterly heartbreaking.
August 1978, the typhoon and the accidental death of Dong Mayong.
Just devastating. That kind of loss. It changes everything forever. It must have cast such a long shadow.
Unimaginable. It would test any couple, any family. How do you even navigate that kind of grief together? It probably reshaped their whole perspective on life, on happiness.
And you feel that loss linger throughout the series, don't you? It's always there, under the surface.
It speaks volumes about their bond, though, that they managed to endure it together. So moving into the 80s, we see the next generation, Jeon Mayong, coming into her own.
Right. January 87, she gets into SNU Seoul National University. That's huge.
Huge, especially for Asen, right? Seeing her daughter achieve the kind of academic dream she couldn't pursue, it's like a validation of their sacrifices.
And Asen herself is making strides, too. Becoming the first female village chief in October 87. That's pretty significant community recognition.
It shows her growth, doesn't it? She's not just a mother or a wife, she's a leader. But progress still comes with, well, sacrifice.
Yeah, selling the house in September 88, the one they bought back. Selling it to fund Jun Mayong's study in Japan. That's another massive parental sacrifice.
It's that recurring theme again, isn't it? Putting the children's future first, no matter the personal cost. It's deeply ingrained in them.
So Jun Mayong goes to Japan, comes back in January 90, and steps into the complexities of the modern world, especially with relationships.
Oh yeah, her relationship with Young Bum and his mother's prejudice, it's brutal.
It really is. A reminder that progress doesn't erase old biases. And Ji Mayong's decision in July 94 to call off the wedding, that statement, "I love myself deeply too."
Wow. That feels like a real shift, doesn't it? Compared to maybe what A-Sun might have endured, Ji Mayong prioritizes her own self-worth, her own emotional well-being. It's powerful.
A sign of the times, maybe. A generational change in perspective.
I think so. But E-Sun's fierce love is still there. Remember her saving Ji Mayong from that gas leak in 91? That mother-daughter bond is unbreakable.
Yeah, true. And life keeps rolling on. Jun Mayong comes back to Jeju to heal in 95, and then A-Sun's grandmother passes away later that year.
It shows that cycle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Loss, healing, transition, the constant ebb and flow.
But then things start looking up for Jun Mayong again towards the end of the 90s.
Right. She reconnects with Park Chung-sib in November 97. They eventually get married in August 98. So there's hope for finding happiness after heartbreak.
And we see the community and family stepping up again, too, like Sang-gil helping clear Eun Mayong's name.
Yes, and Asen and Gwansik, again, selling his boat, her selling squid, all to help Yeon Mayong start over in the late 90s.
It never stops, does it? That selfless support for their kids, even as they're getting older themselves.
It's just who they are. Their commitment to family is unwavering, which brings us into the 2000s and a new generation arriving.
Grandparenthood. August 2001, Jun Mayong and Chung-sib have Park Sam-bom. Isun and Gwansik are grandparents.
A lovely new chapter. And Gwansik finally gets his own dream realized too, opening his restaurant, Jumandong, in December 2000.
Yeah, it feels like maybe a period of calm, relative stability, enjoying the results of all that hard work.
There's definitely that feeling.
Yeah.
But the past, it never fully disappears. That visit to Dong Mayong's grave in September 2004, it's a quiet reminder of the grief they still carry.
Always there. And then life throws another curveball. Gwansik's diagnosis, blood cancer, August 2005.
Yeah, this series doesn't shy away from that, from aging and mortality. It handles it very sensitively.
His passing in November 2006, with his family around him, it's incredibly moving.
It is. And that final act of love, publishing Asun's poem in June 2006, just before he died, knowing how much her writing meant to her.
Oh, that's just beautiful, isn't it? So selfless, thinking of her dream right until the end.
Exactly. Which makes it even more satisfying to see Asun much later in February 2024 at 73.
Finally fulfilling that dream, teaching and publishing her poetry collection. With help from Chloe, who looks like her mother, it feels like things coming full circle.
It really does. And Ju Mayong buying back the old house and Ju Mayong gifting her the poetry book.
Yeah.
It shows that love and support continuing through the generations. A perfect combination, really.
So looking back at Asun's whole arc, From that fiery young girl facing so much to this resilient poet and community figure, her spirit is just incredible.
Absolutely. She endured so much loss, hardship, limitations, but that inner light, that passion, it never went out. She adapted, she kept going, and she found fulfillment.
And Gwansik, the quiet anchor, his steadfast devotion, that selfless love, it clearly struck a chord. That my own Gwansik trend tells you something.
He represented a different kind of strength, didn't he? That quiet reliability, that unwavering support. His actions always spoke volumes, especially that final act for Asen.
And their daughter, Jumayong, she inherits that intelligence, that spirit, but navigates a different world. Her journey towards self-worth while still honoring her family, it shows real evolution.
Yeah, she represents that bridge, maybe? Learning from the past, but forging her own path, finding that balance between herself and her family. It's a fascinating intergenerational story.
What the series does so well, I think, is showing all those unspoken feelings, the complex family ties, even with extended family like Park Young-ran, and how the Jeju community itself shapes them. And sacrifice. It's just woven through everything.
And the way they tell the story, non-linearly, jumping between time periods, it works so well. You understand motivations much more deeply, see how the past directly impacts the present.
You really feel those echoes, yeah. It's not just this happened, then this happened. It's about the emotional weight of it all over time.
Exactly. It builds this incredibly rich emotional landscape.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the big emotional takeaways for you from this lifelong story?
Well, I think it's fundamentally about enduring love, you know?
Yes.
Love that persists through immense loss. It's about the strength you get from family, from community, and just the sheer resilience of people across generations.
Beautifully put. It's a really powerful look at those core human experiences, all set against that specific rich backdrop of Jeju.
It really is.
So for you, the learner, maybe think about this. How do those quiet acts of love, those strong family bonds, those sacrifices we saw with Aesan and Gwansik, how does that resonate with your own view of life, of connection?
Yeah, or maybe go back to certain moments in their timeline that really struck you, or even dig deeper into the Jeju culture itself, how it shaped them. And that theme of dreams, lost dreams, deferred dreams, fulfilled dreams, how that plays out differently for each generation.
It's definitely a story that lingers, makes you think about the sweetness and the sorrow, like you said, of a life lived fully, a powerful exploration of the human heart.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.